30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It's a beautiful Tuesday in Nashville, Tennessee. And before we bring Kelly Holcomb in, I'm going to let you all in on a little secret. This show, if you're watching it live at 2 o'clock, was taped this morning at 9:30 so that I could go speak to a sports marketing class up in Knoxville. Okay, now why they would want me, I have no idea. I really don't. However, let me just say as we welcome Kelly Holcomb in that he is very upset that I have no intention of wearing a tie for this event. What is your problem?
I got two things. Do we get paid more because we had to do this early in the morning? Do we get paid more?
Okay.
And secondly,
hold on. Let's take that one first. Billy, if you would answer that for Kelly.
No.
Oh, that's shocking, Billy. I could have guessed that. You could have given me three guesses, and the first two don't even count. Secondly is, well, I got three things. Like, okay, who would want you to come speak to a marketing class is beyond me.
I don't know. Even I wonder about that.
And then thirdly, like, can we put a tie on? Can we? I mean, you look good today. You actually look better than you ever looked for me. But like, can you put a tie on?
The answer is not no, but hell no.
And the thing that I was thinking was maybe this radio TV gig wasn't working out, so you were going for an interview. I didn't know.
You know, there have been a couple of times in my life that's been true. However, today is not one of those situations.
Gotcha.
Can I go on a little rant to start this?
Absolutely.
Sure thing.
So I stayed up last night and watched the Golden State Sacramento game. And by the way, those fans in Sacramento, they are awesome. I don't know if Golden State can come back or not. I've got some serious doubts. And storm clouds have been out there for a team that's lost 30 road games in the regular season. That doesn't feel like a champion. But here's what I do know. Steve Kerr, class. Steph Curry, class. Klay Thompson, total class. Man, that's a guy I root for. Draymond Green, really good player when he puts his mind to it. Really helps them, even though he doesn't score much. But quit acting like a punk, okay? Stomping on Sabonis last night is not the answer. It's just simply not. And his teammates deserve better. Have I said anything wrong?
No, it's something, though, that he tries to, I don't know. I mean, Draymond's always been like that. There's always drama surrounding Draymond. Yeah. And, you know, he's kind of the enforcer on that basketball team, but it's just like his excuses that he gives, that he tries to parlay to people is just like he was trying to step. And like everybody saw you, I mean, you kicked him in the sternum. I mean, that's what he did. I don't know. I'm kind of with you with that. I don't know if they can come back. I don't know if they can come back either, George. I said yesterday, you know, going up to, but this Sacramento Kings team, obviously they had, you know, they scored the most points, you know, in any game of anybody in the league this year. And I heard the stat this morning that they had the best road record in the Western Conference this past year. So they didn't let that stuff phase them last night, and they looked really, really good.
David, I don't know of a team that is as good as Sacramento that has been as under the radar for an entire year. Nobody knew anything about them.
Well, they haven't made the playoffs in a long time, and you can see that atmosphere with their home fan base. Can they take it on the road? You know, the Chase Center in San Francisco is going to be riled up, knowing their team is down 0-2. You know, they're a championship team with pedigree. That fan base is seen some championships. I'm excited to see the Kings take it on the road with Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox. It's going to be a great series. I don't know if it's going to be a gentleman's sweep in 5. I think it's going to go 6 or 7.
I fully believe. What did he call that, Billy?
Gentleman's sweep.
Gentleman's sweep.
Gentleman's sweep in 5.
Okay. I fully believe Golden State's going to win their 2 games at home. This will rile up their crowd. But I'll say this, the TV people, the network people want Golden State because they want a Golden State Lakers. That's what they're dying to get.
Why not Sacramento Lakers?
Well, it's not as sexy. It's not as, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, like George said, nobody knows Sacramento. I mean, nobody knows. I mean, the star power is there. Is there with Sabonis and with De'Aaron Fox, man. De'Aaron Fox, I got to agree with y'all, man. He's really, really good. He didn't shoot great from the 3-point line last night, but when they needed it, he did. It was amazing. Good player.
There will be really interesting matchups in that Kings-Lakers series where Mike Brown used to coach LeBron James in Cleveland. Yeah. So some interesting storylines right there. But that would be a good series. The Lakers versus the Warriors would be a great series as well with Steph and Clay versus LeBron and AD.
I like where it's all starting playoff-wise.
And back to the crowd, too. Draymond does it for the crowd. I mean, did you see him? He was screaming.
Yeah, but stomping on another player for the crowd, I'm sorry. I'm not in for that.
Oh, I'm not either. But
if the NBA's got to have the guts today to basically say you're not playing in Game 3. We're not having that.
Everything you listen to, though, they're saying that it wasn't they're not going to suspend him. Of course, you never know what the NBA is going to do, but they were talking about it just a flagrant 2 foul. So I don't know.
Yeah, well,
it was flagrant, all right.
I think we all can admit that Draymond cost them a championship years ago in that Cleveland series when he got suspended. But I would say he's also their most important player, player.
He is very important to what they do. The NBA cannot ignore this.
Right. It's kind of like Euros Plavsic with Tennessee, right? There's a positive to him, and he can really, really make a difference when he's doing what he can, but he can also really hurt you when he's not doing the things he can. So I think
NBA's got to drop the hammer.
I don't think he's going to be a Warrior next year. I think he's going to be a Laker with LeBron.
Oh, wow.
Wow. I think he's a free agent this year. So it's going to be the end of that Golden State dynasty. They're going to keep Steph and Clay and Wiggins. Draymond's going to depart.
And then they've got to figure out, is there somebody out there that can be like Draymond without all the drama?
That'd be interesting.
What do you got there, Billy?
Stanley Cup. The Islanders and the Canes last night. Canes won 2-1. Boston over Florida 3-1. Minnesota over Dallas 3-2 in double overtime.
That's a big upset right there because Dallas has had a great regular season. And then the big shocker was that Edmonton at home with all that firepower couldn't beat the LA Kings.
Yeah, that's a little surprising. Draisaitl and all that talent they've got go down to the Kings. So that Stanley Cup, they got, 4 or 5 games every night this week, loaded this week, so we'll keep track of that. But, George, last night Mike Brey was in the news. It looks like he is headed to Atlanta to join Quinn Snyder's staff with the Hawks. He has a 30-year history with Snyder and visited with the Hawks in March. He stepped down as Notre Dame's coach after the end of last season following 23 years in South Bend.
Kelly, a little history lesson. Mike Brey wanted the Vanderbilt job 30 years ago when Jan Van Bredekoff got it. Mm-hmm. And Brey was very close to Billy McCaffrey. And somehow I end up getting a phone call from Brey wanting to talk to me about the situation. And at the time, the athletic director was the late Paul Houlihan, who I didn't have a very good relationship with. I like Brey. I can see where Brey, first of all, he took a tough job at Notre Dame. He and Quinn Snyder have a Duke background. That's sort of the connection there.
So it seems like he's more of a, of course, he's been in the college level. I understand that. He's been at Notre Dame for a while, but it seems like he's more of a NBA type of guy. I saw that on the bottom line last night talking about that. So it's amazing to me, George, that, it shocks me every day. You got Pete Rose in an interview, and now you got Coach Brey calling you 30. It's just amazing all the people which is, you fool somebody along your way. That's for sure.
I haven't. I didn't have this at the time.
Could you imagine?
I had one of those like Motorola jobbies. Big old the forerunner of the modern day cell phone. I was probably talking to him on some brick.
You're probably like great. You probably like Poggy. Poggy's still got he's still got numbers and stuff on notepads. I mean, you got a Rolodex still?
Listen, I've got a legal pad, but it's not like Poggy's. I've seen Poggy's. That thing is prehistoric.
Poggy's got sheets. Poggy's got numbers on sheets. It looks like it's been through like car washes and it's been dried out. It looks like it's been from the 70s.
Poggy's is an artifact now.
Looks like Draymond Green stomped on it.
Speaking of the NBA, David wanted to throw this in there. Jaren Jackson of the Grizzlies has won NBA Defensive Player of the Year. He's only 23 years old, and he joins Marc Gasol as the only Grizzlies player to ever win Defensive Player of the Year. So,
you want me to be ugly?
Go ahead.
Who cares? Win tonight.
I was going to get to that, George.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's an ugly attitude, I know. But
no, that's true, though.
Right now, they're at kind of the crossroads. If this team bows out where the Lakers rip them in 5, they're really going to catch it. They got to win tonight.
Is Ja playing? Is Billy? Is Ja playing? Or no? Is
doubtful. They haven't announced anything. He's still doubtful. So, but you got to imagine they're gonna find a way to play him.
Oh, they'll send him out in a wheelchair if they have to.
I mean, without Ja, they don't beat anybody. I mean, and they showed that this year when he was gone. They struggled.
No, they really actually did very well.
No, they did good.
They won. Look it up later. What was their record in games he didn't play? It was actually pretty impressive.
But it's no way they're the same team without him, is what I'm trying to say.
You all said it earlier, though. What we've really got right now is a Memphis who no longer feels like a 2, and the Lakers sure aren't a 7 anymore.
You had a Memphis team that's been talking a bunch and was wanting to play the Lakers, and now you got them. Now they took game 1 from you. Now, if they take game 2 from you at your place, it's going to be tough.
Well, somebody on the Lakers, if they get a big lead tonight late, is going to go.
That's right. That's what I would do.
And a guy to watch is Reeves. They cannot let him go off again. I mean, if you let him go off, that's
not good.
No bueno.
Well, the Lakers won the feel-out game that LeBron had. LeBron did not play well in that game 1. It was Hachimura and Reeves that really carried that team down the stretch in the 4th quarter. So if the Lakers won the LeBron feel-out game, I feel really nervous about the Grizzlies moving forward because LeBron's going to play better.
Thunk it.
Yeah.
What else?
That's it, George.
That's it.
Yeah, we got Terry in the on-deck circle.
Oh, listen. Terry has been a trooper on this because while you may see it live or later, Terry had to get up early. He might have had to miss. I don't think the Yankees played last night, now that I think about it. Anyway, Terry's with us to get into all of the Titans stuff. When we come back, we'll start with this. The rumor has been out there forever that they're going to move up and take the 3. We're going to dissect that thing and see if it's even possible. But first, are you betting on either the NBA playoffs or the NHL? Well, today at Action 24/7, you can use the promo code George. I love that. You can get a 300% deposit match up to $20 on your first deposit. Action 24/7 is Tennessee's only locally owned and operated sports book. So you may be saying, why did you say that? For this reason. These are neighbors of yours that may well live down the street from you. They want local business to go with a local company. So when you have questions or even disputes about a game, they're going to try to get back to you in a hurry. That's what good neighbors do. And that's why those of you watching this show in and around our area ought to consider Action 24/7. Download the app or visit Action 24/7 to get all the winning started. And please bet responsibly.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685. Now that the weather has gotten considerably warmer, there's not a better place to spend a morning or an afternoon than Riverside Golf Links. So you've probably noticed the weather has gotten a lot warmer, and that means a couple of things in Nashville. It means baseball, and it really means golf. And for me, it's a visit to Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. There are now 27 holes, including a 9-hole executive course. If you want tee times or more information, dial them up at 615-847-5074.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Well, as most of you know, the draft is 9 days away in Kansas City. And, man, there is a lot of yapping going on. Kelly, none of which probably is true. What would you say? 90% of the yapping is just camouflage?
It's yapping. It's like the government. It's just yapping. It's just nobody tells the truth this time of year. They're all trying to hide. They've all got really secretive about this stuff when it gets closer to the draft. And it's going to be interesting to see if Terry can, resolve some of this stuff for us.
It's the secretary and Charlie Brown that you don't know what they're saying, but they're saying a lot.
It was a lot more fun. Let's bring Terry in here. Terry McCormick from Main Street Media joining us for what will be a long conversation, almost a State of the Union, if you will. Terry, it was a lot more fun when Bud was alive and he would just utter, VY is my guy.
Well, yes.
Thank you. Thank you. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Good. Your boy Garrett Cole was in mid-season form Sunday.
He looked really good. 2-hitter. I like it. Complete game. That's a dinosaur in baseball these days.
Last time that happened, Nixon was in office. So, Terry, we've been hearing more and more of this talk about the Titans moving up to the number 3 hole. And at some point, I have to admit, I don't study this as close as you do as far as what is it they would have to give up and what are the ramifications. So I'm just going to toss this hand grenade at you, and Kelly and I will both chime in on this. What would it take to get to the number 3 position? And if they pulled that, what does that mean for the rest of their draft?
Well, I think it would take way more than they have to offer in terms of draft capital. I think a lot of people are trying to put the Titans at number 3 in probably because Rand Carthon was with the 49ers when they jumped from 12 to 3 a few years ago, and they took Trey Lance. They swapped first round picks in that year's draft. That was 2021. Gave them another first in 2022 and a first in 2023, plus a third, I believe it was, from 2022. So they gave up, basically swapped 4 picks for 1 for the right to select Trey Lance, and that hasn't worked out real well for the Niners. So, to me, I think it's more lesson learned. I don't think the Titans, they're already missing a 4th round pick. I don't see how they can give up that much draft capital for what the prognosticators would probably consider the 3rd best quarterback in the draft if Bryce Young and CJ Stroud are going off the board 1-2, as most people assume they will. So you're looking at Anthony Richardson, you're looking at Will Levis. Are they worth the 3rd pick overall? I have my doubts because we've seen so many quarterback prospects flame out that have been picked way higher than they should have been. And to me, the Titans have way too many other needs and way too few draft picks to make that type of jump for a quarterback. Now, that said, if one of those guys starts to slide and falls into their lap at number 11, then maybe they should consider it. But right now, with Ryan Tannehill under contract for this year, and with what they have needs of at wide receiver, on the offensive line, and even needing to add another tight end, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense to jump up and give up picks to go get a quarterback.
Terry, I'm going to want to bring Kelly into this in just a second. But yesterday, the Predators held kind of a state of the union of where they are. And David Poyle in his talk said, hey, the trades that we were able to make right around the deadline have given us 13 draft picks this year, have alleviated a lot of salary cap issues, have allowed us to play a bunch of young people who stepped up and really showed their stuff. And I'll be honest, as a season ticket holder, there's a piece of me on the Predators very excited about where they are and where they're headed. I can't feel the same way right now about the Titans because they don't have the draft capital. They don't have a salary cap capital. They don't have a bunch of young nucleus that's proven anything. To me, one feels really good right now, and for the moment, I don't know what the heck the other one is.
Yeah, I think, when you look at it, I think there's probably a silver lining in this cloud coming next year, because they're going to have, if they want to and don't want to extend Tannehill and don't want to extend Derrick Henry and want to make a couple of other moves, they're going to have about $120 million in cap space projected available to them in 2024. So if you're the Titans, do you just kind of slide through this year and try to make the best of it with what you have and try to build for next year? Maybe that's what you do. And maybe that's why so many people are linking them to these quarterback prospects. If you're going to do that, this is what I would rather see them do. Rather than make a big leap of faith and going up in the draft for Richardson or Levis, I would rather see them trade down, maybe into the bottom of the 1st round, top of the 2nd round, pick up some extra picks and use one of those extra picks in the bottom of the 1st or top of the 2nd on Hendon Hooker. Why not? I mean, we know, what Hendon Hooker is. Yes, he's a little bit older than most quarterbacks that come into the league as a rookie, but he's also more mature, and, his leadership qualities are off the charts. The only thing you have to do is get him healthy with that knee injury, which if you've got Ryan Tannehill available this year to you, as the Titans do, you can let Hendon Hooker get healthy and be ready to roll with him in 2024 when you're clearing the decks and starting over, supposedly.
Kelly, I know you've got some strong opinions here. Chime in.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you said right there, Terry, because me personally, I just don't know about the quarterbacks. I'd like to hear what they think, when inside the building. I don't know if you know this, but what they think about Levis or Anthony Richardson. But like they're two, Levis, I know he was hurt this year. He just didn't. He was too inconsistent. You look at Anthony Richardson, he's a freak of nature, but I mean, he's a big kid, but he only started 11 games. He's really inconsistent. So why would you do that? I think me personally thinks Hendon Hooker is probably the third best quarterback. That's one question. And then secondly, if all this quarterback talk is coming around, have they just totally given up on Malik Willis?
That's a good question. I think that the sample size you saw last year certainly did not lead to good returns. I think if you're the Titans, I don't know how you could feel really good about Malik Willis right now. He needs a strong offseason of work. He needs a strong training camp, and he needs a strong preseason. Now, that said, all those things are going to come after the draft. So there's probably going to be another new face in that quarterback room somewhere along the way. If you're the Titans, until Malik, because Malik Willis hasn't shown you enough. But you're not the only one, Kelly, that has said that they feel like Hendon Hooker is the number 3 quarterback in this draft class. I've talked to some people up in Knoxville. They may be a little bit of a bias there, but they saw Richardson and they saw Levis up close. So, they can compare apples to apples, if you will. And then some of the draft analysts and all, they really are high on Hendon Hooker, and they really believe that he would have gone a lot higher in this draft had it not been for the knee injury.
Well, another thing too is, and I was listening to something the other day, and I don't think this is going to happen. We know Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud are the 2 top quarterbacks in the deal, but what if DeMeco Ryans fell in love with Bryce Young and he goes first, and then he doesn't want C.J. Stroud, and then he maybe takes being a defensive coach, he maybe takes Will Anderson. Like, I know that's going to throw the draft out of it's going to make it crazy, but could that be a situation right there where, you do something dumb like Mike Ditka a long time ago getting Ricky Williams, like give up everything to get your franchise quarterback?
Yeah, that's, certainly a scenario that's kind of been thrown out there over the last day or two, that if the Texans are not sold on C.J. Stroud, then, would a team come to number 3 and go up there and get him if they were to take, say, Will Anderson and bolster their defense? I guess the question is this: if you're the Titans, would you love C.J. Stroud enough to give up your draft, and also knowing that if you don't do that, you're going to face him twice a year with the Indianapolis Colts, who would certainly take him at number 4 overall? So I think that right there is what the Titans are going to have to weigh. If Houston passes on C.J. Stroud, are they comfortable with the Colts taking C.J. Stroud, or do they feel like they need to go up there and make that move instead?
Well, let me ask both of you this. In the last few days, you've had all this, we're not sure what Houston is doing. Okay, for DeMeco Ryans as a new head coach in that city to do that, he must think Davis Mills is Joe Montana. How in the world can he explain away what is there that's on paper about C.J. Stroud that he could ignore? Honestly, Kelly, let me start that one with you.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that the Mills kid is just, he's, he played good sometimes last year, but I don't think he's the guy. I don't think, I just threw that out there because I've heard that, and you talked about you've heard it.
Oh,
too,
yeah,
George.
we've both heard it.
Yeah, I don't think you do that. I think once you got a franchise guy, which I think C.J. Stroud is, I mean, you can put him and Bryce Young. I mean, they're 2 really good football players, and they've got a really good track record of winning games, being accurate. I think that Bryce Young is more elusive than C.J. Stroud, but, is that going to parlay into the NFL for Bryce Young? He's not a very big guy, so there's been other guys that hadn't been very big either. But I think C.J. Stroud is a guy, and I think once you got an opportunity to take a quarterback like that, I think you got to take it. I don't know if you're ever going to get that situation again where, and hopefully, if you're DeMeco Ryans, you're not in this situation again. You have a really good year next year and you're not up there at 2. Well, then that means if you don't get the quarterback this year and y'all play really good, well, then you're going to have to trade up to try to get one next year. So I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think he's really happy with that. And I think that they'll probably take C.J. Stroud, or, if he goes to Carolina, which I can see him going to Carolina because Frank Reich likes big guys. But who knows what all these guys are thinking?
Barry, isn't that also where Rand Carthon's staff has to flush out all the BS and know with some level of certainty, look, Houston's taking a quarterback. Let's move on.
Yeah, I think so. I think that, when you're in that situation, when you're that bad to be picking second overall, chances are you got there in large part because of poor quarterback play. And, there are other reasons too, but chances are it was poor quarterback play that caused it. So in that scenario, when you're up there, you almost are forced to take a quarterback with the draft pick. It's happened to the Titans 2 or 3 times. And unfortunately for them, they picked bad years to be bad when they drafted Vince Young, when they drafted Jake Locker, when they drafted Marcus Mariota. So with those types of scenarios, when you're that bad, you have to hope that the guy you're drafting is the next Peyton Manning and not the next Ryan Leaf when you're in that situation, because it almost forces your hand to have to do that.
Okay, let me toss this at both of you. Terry, first of all, best as you know, what quarterbacks have actually come to Nashville to meet with the Titans?
Levis and Richardson and Hendon Hooker are the 3 that I have seen. I know that they saw Stroud at his pro day, and I think they probably also saw Bryce Young at his pro day, but I don't know that they've had either one of those guys in for a top 30 visit. So they are looking at those 3rd, 4th, and 5th rated quarterbacks that are in this draft class.
Okay, let me talk to both of you about Levis, because, yeah, we all know some of the situation. Bad offensive line. He didn't play great a year ago, but now some of these reports act like he's almost a leper because, he's spouted off at the combine. I have a cannon for an arm. Some of the teams, it appears, have not liked the cocky whatever he's brought to the table, the I am the truth, the word, and the light kind of attitude. First of all, Terry, best as you can tell, did he bring that attitude to the Titans visit, and did they consider that a turnoff?
Really don't have any way of knowing that. They certainly are not very forthcoming with what goes on in those top 30 meetings unless, it's, something that is reported that they're there. They really don't disclose a lot of that. You may find out some of that stuff after the fact, but the truth of the matter is this. If I'm scouting a quarterback, part of what I want in him is a guy who has a little bit of that attitude, maybe not an over amount of it, but I don't want a timid guy because that guy is the leader of my football team. That guy is the face of my franchise. I want him to have a little bit of that confidence, that not arrogance, but some of that cockiness that, hey, I'm going to get it done. It certainly works for Joe Burrow.
Yes, it does. So, Kelly, does that turn you off at all about Levis?
Well, you gotta have confidence, but he's a little overzealous sometimes with that stuff. I don't. I've talked to Tim Couch, who's one of my really good friends. He really likes Will Levis. He's a tough kid. That's obvious. He played last year hurt. He didn't have much help around him, but I don't know. There's too many inconsistencies there for me. Just like Terry was talking about earlier, why jump up for all that? You just don't know what's, with him or Richardson. And I haven't been sold on him because he was too inconsistent on the football field last year. I watched a couple of games, and he does have a cannon for an arm, which I didn't have, but I was really accurate. His accuracy sometimes struggles. Now, is that, due to his injury? I don't know. But when you're talking about millions and millions and millions of dollars and a guy to lead your team, that's why they have all those, those meetings with them at the combine. That's why they do a background check. That's why they do all that scouting. That's why they do the things that they do to make sure. And there's really no way to make sure when you're drafting a guy that high. But, for me, I like Hendon Hooker at number as the 3rd best quarterback at the draft. I really do. I think he did it. I mean, everybody says, well, he's old. Well, his injury. Well, it's a system that he played in. Well, you know what? You still got to get in there and you got to make the throws. You got to hang in the pocket. You got to make plays when you can. I thought he did a really good job of that. But, you know, with Will Levis, if it's me, I'm not going there. I'm moving on. It's too inconsistent for me.
So, Terry, he brought it up. He kind of stole my thunder here. Is it possible we're going to find out after the draft that a lot of the teams have Hooker 3 and then a Levis Richardson after that?
It's possible. And I really do, because just of what Kelly said, that it's the body of work. The body of work of Hendon Hooker is pretty cut and dry. You saw him take over a Tennessee team that was, in the throes of NCAA investigations, loss of scholarship. They'd been mediocre for years. You had a new coaching staff coming in. He came in, and in his first year as a starter, coming in after Joe Milton was injured, he just took that job and ran with it and got better each week. And one of the things that he did was he got him to a bowl game after the 2021 season. And then last year, for the most part, that offense was unstoppable. And I know a lot of people say, well, it's the system. It's Josh Heupel's offense. It's, that's making him. But he's still having to make the throws. He's still having to make the reads that are there. He is still having to look over the protections to make sure that the blockers have covered up the pass rushers and things like that, and knowing how soon to get the ball out of his hands. All those things are still the same, even though he did a lot more pre-snap reads than post-snap reads that he'll have to do in the NFL. I think the sharpness that he has and the poise that he has and the leadership that he has makes him more of a sure thing, because to me, as Kelly said, Levis is inconsistent. Richardson is probably even more inconsistent than Levis was, given, that he played poorly at times. I think before the Tennessee game last year, when he showed out in that game, he hadn't thrown a touchdown pass in the first 3 games. So you're talking about a young kid with great upside there, but can you wait for him to develop? Because here's the thing. If it takes Richardson 3 or 4 years to develop, you may be developing him for the next coach and GM that are coming down the pike.
And speaking of Hooker, George, Peter Schrager's latest mock draft has the Titans taking Hooker at 11 overall.
I mean, I think that's a real possibility, guys, that's ultimately what ends up happening.
But do you, this is a thing for Terry right now, but do you take him at 11 or do you trade that pick where you can get him later?
Well, do you know you can get him later?
Well, that's true.
I think ideally what you have to do, there are 2 or 3 teams you've got to guard against. All of them are in the same situation because they all have quarterbacks that you would consider in the latter stages of their career or stopgaps. And if you can think of any more, let me know. One is the Raiders, who just signed Jimmy Garoppolo and moved on from Derek Carr. They're looking for a franchise quarterback. One would be the Saints, where Derek Carr went, and they may look for a developmental quarterback there. The Titans are certainly there. The Seahawks are there with Geno Smith. The Vikings are there with Kirk Cousins. So what you have to do is you have to make sure you stay in front of those. If you move back, you need to stay in front of those teams and not let somebody jump you.
That's true.
Okay, Terry, let me ask this question on it to go back to something I brought up earlier. I honestly don't know the makeup of the staff under Rand Carthon, but it would seem to me, much as we're doing here at this beautiful Ford Ice Center, they're all in some room over there where Carthon's got to be saying, okay, to so-and-so, what's Minnesota going to do? What are you hearing New Orleans is going to do? What are you, and isn't this where their accuracy or lack thereof comes into play? Because let's be honest, over the last 2 years, they have butchered drafts of Isaiah Wilson, Caleb Farley. They have looked completely tone deaf with their decision making.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And, this is where, they talk about all this collaboration. This is where Rand Carthon, who, by the way, is still largely operating with John Robinson scouts, because the scouts start doing their work during the fall, the assessments, the evaluations. going to college practices, going to college games, writing all these reports. So you can't flush even though you're getting rid of the general manager, like they did with John Robinson in December, you can't get rid of his staff because they're the ones who have all the work and all the information stored up. They're the ones who have gathered all this. So you need that before you can make these draft picks. So that's where Rand Carthon, this scouting staff, and Mike Vrabel and his assistant coaches all have to be in unison, even though they're all coming from very different places. At the start of this, they've all got to get centralized on what they want to do and what they believe in their own mock drafts that they've got on their boards there, what those other teams could be doing as well.
Kelly, I'll kind of give you the final word. Wherever you want to go or need to go here, do it.
Well, we've been talking a bunch about quarterbacks, but I think we put that, that.
Lost Kelly's audio.
Whoa, hold on a second. That's not good.
Back-to-back days.
If you're going where I think you're going, which is stuff like wide receiver, offensive.
Yeah, wide receiver. Yes,
okay,
absolutely.
Hold on to it because we will do that after the break. Fair enough?
Yep.
Okay. Kelly's brought up a good point. Are they going to throw to any of the three of us? Because right now, we're as good an option as anything else they've got. If you're wondering, they should be looking for wide receivers, and we will talk about that next.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd, the goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Experience Predators hockey all season long. Visit NashvillePredators.com/season tickets and join the Loyal Legion today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets, and we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to AlacoFineWoodFloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
That was some very busy music to bring us back in as we welcome all of you to our beautiful new digs at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. The NFL draft is 9 days away in Kansas City. 9 days. Of course, Kelly Holcomb is with us in the middle. Terry McCormick from Main Street Media joining us to talk about all this. Contrary to any rumors anybody has conjured up, the Titans do not intend to run the wishbone next year. Therefore, Terry, wide receivers will be needed. At the moment, what have they got?
Not a lot in terms of experience. I mean, they've got Traylon Burks, who just completed his rookie year. He showed flashes of playmaking ability, but had some issues with injuries and conditioning. They have Kyle Phillips, who missed almost the whole year with various injuries. And then they have Nick Westbrook-Akine, who was re-signed at less than the tender offer. He's the veteran of the group going into his fourth season. And then they have Racey McMath, who is sort of a deep threat, but has the speed, has the size that you want, but has really been more of a special teams guy, has not been a guy that has shown that he can consistently catch the football the way you would want him to. So they really have a lot of question marks there. I mean, you can project Burks as a starter, obviously, because he was a first-round pick last year. But beyond that, they really need two wide receivers to add to this roster, in my opinion, because Nick Westbrook-Akine, while you could use him as your third, is probably more suited as a fourth and to be a special teams guy.
Okay, I'm being a little cynical here. Is this the worst wide receiver situation in the National Football League at this moment?
Don't think there's any doubt about it. I'd say they're 32 of 32.
Wow.
How did they
in
let
terms
it get
not only
to
of
this?
production, but in terms of numbers, George, they just don't have a lot of bodies there right now.
Maybe the A.J. Brown trade?
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Billy, for bringing that up.
But I feel like it gets under talked about.
Well, yeah, I mean, it just gutted everything it was. I mean, there's a reason Vrabel had to look like he'd swallowed a hand grenade when he found out about it. Terry, how did they think this was going to work?
I think they were gambling that Traylon Burks would come in and pick up where A.J. Brown left off, and obviously that didn't happen. Thanks to a poor offensive line, injuries at wide receiver, and the fact that, Burks was not A.J. Brown. I mean, wide receivers like A.J. Brown don't grow on trees. I mean, you look at the number of top level receivers, and I'm not going to say Randy Moss type superstars, but just top level receivers that you can run out there and say, this guy is going to be consistent for me. He's going to produce. They've produced about 3, but prior to A.J. Brown, the whole time the franchise has been here, of guys that you could count on week in and week out to put up good numbers. Derek Mason, Drew Bennett, Nate Washington.
Where's the guy from Denver that I used to always laugh about?
Bashir Yamini.
Where is he when we need him? So let me see if I've got this right. You're basically saying that 2 picks out of the draft are going to have to play significant number 2 and number 3 with Burks as a one who showed little flashes, but he certainly wasn't Randy Moss.
No, I mean, people have talked about wanting Traylon Burks to be on the A.J. Brown trajectory. Honestly, I thought he was more on the Corey Davis trajectory last year, dealing with the injuries, occasionally showing the flashes to be a potential number one. But even if he is on the Corey Davis trajectory and becomes, that type of receiver, right now the Titans would take that and run with it, probably simply for the fact that they don't have a whole lot else. So, I guess there still could be a cap casualty maybe after the draft that comes free that they could add that would help this wide receiver core. There's not a lot left over in free agency. And quite frankly, in this draft, there's not a surefire guy that's going to be a difference maker from the outset. There's not a Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase in this draft, supposedly. The best are probably right there. You see Jackson Smith and Jigba of Ohio State. And a couple of the other guys, there's, Quentin Johnston of Texas Christian. And then maybe your guys from UT like Jalen Hyatt or Cedric Tillman, some of those type of guys. But none of those guys right now are in the league of Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, a true number one that you would feel good about spending that 11th pick on, in my opinion.
Kelly, let me bring you back in here to just ask this question. Okay, Ryan Tannehill, we're assuming for the moment, will be the Titans quarterback next year. We heard ad nauseum throughout the season last year how much difficulty Aaron Rodgers was having with a young receiver core that, didn't know what he wanted. He didn't know what they were doing. And yet at the end, he was able to make that work because a couple of them really stepped up. Help me. I don't see that being possible here.
No, he had guys that could run. And of course you're talking about Aaron Rodgers too. I've told you what I thought about Aaron Rodgers, but he got towards the end of the season on page, he got on the same page with all those guys. So, I'm going to reiterate what Terry just said. I think they need some speed. We talked about that last week or the week before. They don't have much speed on this team, but he just said that he thought they were 32 out of 32 on receivers. But if you look in this draft, like, where do you go? Like, all the guys that can run are little dudes. So, they're projected as being slot guys. Now, Jalen Hyatt up from UT. I like Cedric Tillman because he's got a big body, and I think that's kind of what Mike Vrabel wants. He wants a bigger body type guy, but Quentin Johnston's not going to be there. And then you got Smith and Jigba, who's coming off a hamstring injury. That hamstrings, if you don't know anything about it, I mean, they can linger and they can be really problematic for you during the season. And if he's not totally healed, I mean, that could transpire over if the Titans were to get him. I mean, that could transpire over into next year where that could bother him next year. So that's kind of a wasted deal for him. So there's just too many inconsistencies there for me. And the guys that can play, you look at USC and the Jordan Addison kid or the Zay Flowers kid, they can run, but they're not very big body types. They're not a prototypical wide receiver. So, they're kind of in a rock and a hard place with that. I don't know where you go, but I think the Titans at some point have got to get some speed somewhere.
Terry, is it as simple as, okay, we knew going into the offseason they got a ton of problems. And in the back of my mind has been this, and they're not going to be able to fix them all. That's how bad this situation is. Are we left to just say, look, who's kidding who? They're really not going to be able to fix the wide receiver position to the standard that a National Football League team ought to be at?
I think that that's very possible. I think that it's very possible that this doesn't get fixed in 1 year, that it may take more than one draft to get this thing turned back around the way it should be. Now, that said, I really agree with what Kelly said there. And even Mike Vrabel has said that they've got to get faster on the field, that they've got to be the faster team. Well, when you're the faster team on the field, a lot of times that comes with some compromise. You have to give away some size, some power, and maybe get away a little bit from that power running game and wide receivers blocking, so that you can put one of those little jackrabbits on the field and let them that runs a 4.3 40 and say, run a go route, run a skinny post, and we'll hit you with the ball 40 yards down the field. We've not seen enough of that with the Titans the last couple of years, especially last year after A.J. Brown left. So I think you may, even though it may make you more predictable in terms of what personnel groupings you have on the field, I think if you have to go smaller to get faster, I think you have to do some of that just to balance out what you've got with the big body possession type receivers.
Kelly, this sounds like a scenario where they may attempt to fix this in the draft, but boy, it sure feels like we're going to get to the end of August and they're going to be combing the waiver wire to see what teams have dumped what into the garbage, and what may be one team's garbage may be the Titans, savior.
Could be. I don't know. You just got to they've got to find some speed. And I like what Terry said. You might have to change your philosophy a little bit about, guys blocking and get one of those little guys, because, if you look down through here, there's not, I keep saying it, but there's not many very big receivers in this draft. There's not like a Michael Irvin who, he couldn't run either, but, he was one of those guys that was big, he was physical, and there's just, I don't know, maybe other than Quentin Johnstone and the Cedric Tillman kid, I don't know where you go. So I could see that. They're always trying to look to upgrade their roster, and absolutely everybody does that at the end of the training camp. They're going to see if there's anybody that can help them. Now, like you say, one man's trash is another man's treasure, but that's hard to do. If you got somebody really good, you're not going to let them go. So, it could take a couple of years, like Terry's talking about, to get that kind of sewed up where, you've got a really good receiving core that can help the quarterback out, and those guys can get open and can run.
After the break, we're going to get into the other really obvious area where the Titans are hurting, and that is offensive line. We'll talk with Terry and with Kelly about that. Terry, you'll be thrilled to know that you will participate today in Stat of the Day after the break, and Kelly likes that because he would like to deflect the fact
absolutely
he's been very little help in this.
Absolutely.
Watson tried to be of some help. Kelly doesn't even, there's no pretense.
Well, yesterday I didn't want to sound stupid. I knew I thought Alex Rodriguez was one, but I was like, I don't want to sound stupid in all this because, I just get left out of trivia stuff. So,
well, let's see what they've got for us after the break. Guys, get ready. This is going to be big.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? How?
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
This is my buddy and former Nashville Sounds PA announcer Eric Berner. I always laughed in the old days at Greer Stadium when I would walk in, Eric would immediately play my favorite song, Van Halen's Jump. But then I learned he actually has a real job with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors.
Yeah, George, that's what I do. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. Everybody's situation is different, so I use a customized and individualized, personalized approach to the person I'm working with. Old 401ks, retirement planning, insurance planning, inheritance planning. Those are things that people like to get some more information about.
One of the things I find is people don't even know where to start, and that's where you come in.
Yeah, so I can usually help people with an initial phone call or meeting that is a no charge and no obligation.
And I'll bet you have a phone number and a website.
I do, George. They can call me at 615-235-1058 or rockcastlewealth.com or Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication, and we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700. Send us a message at celestemiddleton.com or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports. And then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general. Baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised. And, of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
Welcome back in. It's time for Stat of the Day, brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards. Unluckily for Terry, it's an NBA question. I don't know that.
Now, you don't know, but that Terry might not be.
Well, but Terry's strong suit is baseball.
Well, let's just see.
But we'll see. Maybe Terry comes through here for
write
us.
him off. Now, if you write off Kelly, I understand.
What is Billy? What is my strong suit?
High school football.
taking shots at others.
John English Antique Sports and Cards brings Stat of the Day. Give them a call at 931-492-4304. Or you can find them out there in Shelbyville, 204 East Depot Street. They're open Tuesday through Friday, also on Saturdays. All right, let's check it out. Jaren Jackson this week, Jaren Jackson Jr., became the second youngest player to win NBA Defensive Player of the Year. Can you name the youngest player to ever win the Defensive Player of the Year award?
Okay.
I got it.
That was quick.
Whoa, hold on a second. Let's bring Kelly up here. I want to see him.
He's there.
Yeah, but I want to see him in a big old. Can we? Yeah. Okay, so you spouted off. I got it. Correct.
I'm gonna say Dennis Rodman.
Let me say this. In fairness, that was the first name I thought of, was Dennis Rodman. So let's keep going on this a little bit. Don't you gong us anymore. Not yet. Okay, we're putting thought into it. So, Terry, is it possible the answer is Michael Jordan?
That jumped into my mind. I thought of that.
You like that one, Terry? Kelly?
I do.
Michael Jordan.
No. Wrong sound effect.
Once again, Billy's mishaps. Shocking.
What do we call that, Kelly?
I don't know, but when I see him, I'm going to choke him for all these gongs I'm getting.
pilot error.
I have to say, Kelly's mic
So-
has gone out the
so
last couple of days.
What happened there? I mean, why did you hit
I pressed the clap button instead of the buzzer that you love.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so we're 0 for 2 thus far. Terry, is there another name out there that you have thought of?
More recently, I would maybe say Draymond Green.
Kelly, are you okay trying that one?
Yeah, I mean it's a name. Absolutely.
It's a name. He may not be with Golden State much longer, but it's a name. Draymond Green. Yeah, whatever. Same to you.
Are we ready for our hint?
Oh, sure.
Please.
The ever so helpful David hint. That's-
So this player was a dominant big man in the game and faced Kobe Bryant in the NBA Finals. There's your hint.
Oh.
Dominant big man, faced Kobe in the finals and lost, but faced Kobe in the finals.
Dominant big man.
So that'd be from the Eastern Conference.
Okay, let's think about that. They beat Boston in an NBA playoff series, or did? Yeah, they did. So could it be Kevin Garnett?
Yeah.
We're going with Kevin Garnett.
Final answer?
Yes.
Now, come on now. Y'all know he played in Minnesota before he played in Boston.
Look, you let us have our fun here. Clearly, we don't know what we're doing.
This isn't going well.
No, it isn't going well.
Terrible.
It's Dwight Howard.
Billy, I don't need you reminding us of that. We wouldn't have gotten Dwight Howard if we had stayed here till midnight.
I mean, good gracious.
I mean, good
Is David the
Lord.
one who does these? David, or you and Billy, y'all tag team this, or is this David or is this Billy?
This one was me.
I'm over you.
They're
two
all
now.
David.
So, Kelly, you're not pleased with the questions.
Well,
let's face it,
it's not that
David
I'm
is
not
giving-
pleased. I like the question because there was only one answer. I don't like the one that's got 15 answers.
I tried giving Kelly some help with the all
I know,
NFL
and
questions. When he
David
first
has
came on.
given Kelly layups, and he can't even get those.
I told you I'm not a great trivia guy.
Kelly's taken on water, shall we
Do
say.
you think Terry would have got the Mike Trout yesterday?
Oh, I don't know.
George, we're going to need a bigger boat.
Need a yacht. Let's put Terry back. Oh, here we are. This is beautiful. We welcome all of you into the 3:00 hour, even though we are taping this at 10:40 this morning. I will be gone, Terry, speaking to a sports marketing class at the University of Tennessee. Wow. Kelly's all upset that I have no intention of wearing a tie. What's your opinion?
I think you should wear a tie.
Yeah, there you go. I'm going to say that George probably don't have a tie, and if it does, it's from the 1970s, and it's got dust all over it.
I've got nice-looking ties. I just don't want to wear any of them. Okay? I don't think those kids care.
Can you believe that George is going to talk at UT to a marketing class? Like what?
I'm not the only one, okay? There
well
3 or 4 of us.
They scraped the bottom of the barrel with you, Hoss.
Thank you. Fine. We continue our discussion of the Hindenburg. No, actually, we continue our discussion about the Titans, the State of the Union, and the draft, which is 9 days away. The cynical Kelly Holcomb in the middle. Terry McCormick, Main Street Media, joining us for added perspective and to try to put some sanity into all of this. So, Terry, would I be correct that none of us will qualify for their offensive line, which has some holes?
Some holes. Does the term Swiss cheese mean anything to you?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. So we know a year ago that it was a constant patching holes here, trying to stop a leak over here. And frankly, it didn't work very well. And so you knew of all of these various needs they have, that offensive line is right there at the top, because even as tough as Ryan Tannehill is, he about got killed a year ago. So, Terry, thus far, what have they done?
Okay, well, they've released Taylor Lewan and Ben Jones, both of whom finished the year on IR. So they moved on from those two veterans. They have they tendered Aaron Brewer, who was not very good at left guard last year, but they're hoping, I think, to move him to center, which is his more natural position. And if you're going to play a 280-pound guy on the offensive line, he needs to be at center instead of guard, where, those guys need to be at least 300, if not 320. And then the guys that they have brought in include Daniel Brunskill, who can probably play a guard position. They also lost Nate Davis in free agency. So Brunskill is probably going to be the guy that's penciled in at right guard. And then they brought in Andre Dillard from the Eagles to play left tackle, presumably. So they still need a left guard to round out that starting five. But I think there are going to be a lot of training camp battles, not only for the starting five, but also to see who that next group is, because there was a real drop-off last year once the injuries hit.
Oh, yeah, it was an enormous drop-off. Kelly, help me with this. I've never played quarterback in the NFL. My quarterback career ended with a fifth-grade Gray-Y team, partly because I didn't want to get hit. That wasn't a whole lot of fun. We had offensive line issues, and in fifth grade, they're even harder to mask. But if you're trying to weave a bunch of young guys into an offensive line, the general public probably sits there, well, what's the problem? You just go block. But it's not that simple, is it?
No, it's not that simple. And, when I was in Cleveland, we had a hard time with people understanding that once you get an offensive lineman, you have to take him in the draft. They don't come. There's very few and far between guys. You can find defensive linemen all over the place, and you can make other guys into defensive linemen if they gain some weight. But offensive linemen, you have to get once you got the opportunity to get them. And, we just didn't do that. Everybody has offensive line woes. It's tough. I mean, now you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, which we got a kid, like Terry said, with the Andre Lillard kid coming down here. He's going to step in probably, but you look at their offensive line. Their offensive line's really good. Kansas City's got a really good offensive line. The teams that win, I know that Terry said earlier about the quarterback play, but there's a lot to go into that quarterback play. I mean, you've got to have guys that can block in front of you. Just one pass play, George. I remember Tom Moore being in our meetings, just one pass play. The offensive line has to block it correctly. The running back has to understand if he's got somebody in the pass game, which is so different from, when you go to high school to college and then college to pros. I mean, you have to understand the pass game, and you have to understand pass protections if you're a running back. And then, the tight end has to break off if he's a hot guy. He has to know that. The receivers have to run the right routes at the right depth. There's a lot of things that just go into one pass play, but it all starts up front on both sides of the ball. And if you do not have a very good offensive line, you're not going to win very many games, because your quarterback is going to be hit too much, and he's not going to be able to stay up. Now, I will say this: if you're a quarterback and you understand what's going on, it don't take much. But still, in the National Football League, these defenses have gotten so good where if they make you hold the ball just a split second longer than you want to, you got defensive linemen that can get there. So it's apparent from everybody. You have to have good guys up front. And, like y'all said, Swiss cheese last year, Ryan Tannehill got injured. He was on the ground too much. Just, it wasn't consistent at all.
So, Terry, you painted the picture that the NFL draft this year does not do the wide receiver stuff much favors, that it's not very good. Give me a capsule comment. What does the offensive line availability look like? Is it good, not good? Help me there.
I think it's pretty solid overall. I mean, you've got guys like Paris Johnson there from Ohio State. You got Peter Skoronski from Northwestern. Both of those guys are projected to be pretty high first-round draft picks, maybe even available there when the Titans pick at number 11. If one of those guys were to be there, I think they would have to consider it very strongly. even though they signed Andre Dillard to be that left tackle, if they could get one of these guys and he becomes a franchise cornerstone like Taylor Lewan did at left tackle, then you've solved the thing for the next 7 or 8 years. And that's kind of been a philosophy that even through a lot of general managers, the Titans have always had solid play at left tackle, going from Brad Hopkins to Michael Roos, going from Michael Roos to Taylor Lewan, and now from Taylor Lewan to somebody. And I think that that's something that has to be addressed in probably, if not in the first round, probably in the second round of this draft. Find another offensive lineman. Maybe he starts at left guard this year and slides out to left tackle. If he's good enough, maybe he starts at left tackle and Dillard slides into left guard where he's played some before. So I think this year, you got to get at least one, probably two offensive linemen out of this draft. But the thing is here too, and Kelly will probably attest to this, rookie offensive linemen, a lot of times, no matter how good they are, they have a hard time, getting up to speed as a rookie in the NFL, because all of a sudden you look across from you and there's TJ Watt standing there ready to plow you down and go get your quarterback and take him down. A lot of rookie offensive linemen, they have to, I guess, be baptized, so to speak, before they really start to understand the pro game and how it works and how it's different from the college game in terms of your technique.
That is so true, Terry, because I can remember when I was with Indianapolis and we played the Buffalo Bills, and I use this analogy all the time. You get a young guy that's a rookie going against Bruce Smith, who's a 13-year veteran who knows every move, who was the quickest guy I've ever seen off the line of scrimmage. Now, I never got to see Derek Thomas, but like Bruce Smith, his first step was unbelievable. And he's such a big guy. He could get around that corner so quick. And you put a young guy like the Skoronski guy, or you put Broderick Jones or the Johnson kid out there and, against a J.J. Watt or against a Von Miller, who is so fast. It's a learning experience. I don't care where you play. It takes time to learn that. And it's going to be interesting to see. I do think that this is a very, good draft for O-linemen. It seems like a lot of those guys are kind of the same type guys. So if you fall on one, maybe you can, drop back and get another one. So it's going to be interesting to see. I like the Skoronski guy because I think, they're talking about his measurables and they didn't know if he was a tackle. I know he played tackle in college, but, maybe you could put him at guard, or what you were saying, you could move him out to left tackle and then move the little guy in to play guard. So there's a lot of possibilities there, but it's going to be, this is why this time of year is so great, because you just don't know what teams are going to do, and it's going to be interesting to see next week.
Let me try it this way. And Terry, tell me if you think I'm right. Titans have 6 picks, correct?
Yes.
Don't those 6 have to be in some order? Quarterback, 2 wide receivers, 3 offensive linemen?
You might get away with just 2 offensive linemen because you can always find backups that are in that last wave of free agency that you sign right before camp. I think, Mike Brey will be in a defensive head coach. I don't think he's going to let Rand Carthon use all 6 picks on the offensive side of the ball. There'll be at least one defensive guy chosen, whether it's somebody to play safety and help out on special teams, whether it's another linebacker. I think they're pretty solid at the defensive line. They don't have to really worry about anything there. They've had good luck finding undrafted guys that have come in and played well, like Tier Tart and Naquan Jones. But I think you'll see them take at least one defensive player, probably a defensive back, a corner, or a safety, along with that need for offensive linemen and wide receivers. Now, that said, they probably at some point in this draft need to trade back in some round and pick up a couple of extra picks, because they really need to leave this draft with 7, if not 8 bodies rather than 6.
Yeah, hard to disagree with that. Kelly, Watson used to talk about the fact that you could get offensive linemen, that you didn't necessarily have to do that in the first round, that they're going to be out there. Talk to me about that.
Well, you really don't. I mean, you look at it and some of the tackles that are there, it's amazing. I was thinking this earlier. It's amazing how the draft has changed because, now, you can get a good guard or you can get a good center in the third round. I mean, it's kind of amazing. So there's a lot of value. I mean, you look at what they did with Derrick Henry in the second round. I mean, you got Kevin Byard, which I want to ask Terry about that. But there's a lot of value. You hear this every year. There's a lot of value past the first round. Everybody, the first round takes the first day of the draft, and that's what the big show is. But a lot of teams make their hay. You look at the New England Patriots. I mean, they make their hay, in rounds 2 through 7. So there's a lot of good things that you can do. And offensive linemen, you can find them. Like if you've scouted a kid from, say, like Central Michigan that nobody knows about that you really like and that you think have got a chance and you can develop him, there's a lot of good picks later on in the draft for offensive linemen.
Okay, let's do this. Kelly, you brought up a great issue to sort of close this about Byard, so take it and run with it.
Yeah, I just want to know what's going to happen with Kevin Byard. Obviously, he's one of the better safeties. I can remember doing the games at Middle when I was on the air, doing them with Chip. And the guy's just got a knack for being around the ball. And he had that in college. He has that in pros. He's just got a knack for making the play at the right time. Seems like there's some discussions about, his contract. Are they trying to restructure his contract? What are they trying to do with Kevin Byard?
No, they've restructured a couple of times, and that's why they're in the situation that they're in with him, is because they kept pushing that big hunk of money down the road. And now I think he's set to count something like $19 million, which, Kelly, as you know, safeties, no matter how good they are, I don't care if they're Troy Polamalu or Ronnie Lott, they're not going to, they don't want you to make it $19 million when they can be given that type of big money to a wide receiver or a pass rusher. So I think that therein lies the rub with Byard. It's not anything of his making. It's him accommodating the Titans a time or two when they've needed to gain cap space. And he said, okay, I'll let you restructure my deal. Give me more up front. The bill can come due later. Well, that credit card bill has come due. They asked him to take a pay cut. He didn't want to, and I really don't blame him because he's still probably one of the top 3 players on this roster, in my opinion. Plus, you got to remember, he is a local guy. He is a fan favorite, having played at Middle. He's probably neck and neck with Derrick Henry as the most beloved Titans player on that roster right now. I think if they traded him for cap space or if they released him for cap space, I think not only one, that creates another big time need on the back end of the defense, and you can't do that. And 2, it would be such an unpopular move that, the fans would probably mutiny if that happened.
That's a good place to be in if you're Kevin. I mean, and that's a lot of things that people don't understand, George. We see the Jalen Hurts deal yesterday, but a lot of that stuff is towards the back end of the contract where these guys are never going to see that. And it's good that Terry kind of explained that.
Listen, I can't, first of all, thank both of you enough for being involved in this early. Great discussion of where this team is. Terry, thank you so much for doing that.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And Kelly, I know we're going to go up to Detroit in a few minutes and find out what really is or isn't about Jerry Stackhouse with the Pistons. And then you will rejoin us to mock Plaster Bet of the Day.
Sounds good.
Okay. As we go to the break, let me tell you that afterwards, James Edwards from The Athletic up in Detroit will join us. But first, are you betting on either the NBA or the NHL playoffs? Well, today at Action 24/7, use the promo code GEORGE and get a 300% deposit match up to $20 on your first deposit. Action 24/7 is Tennessee's only locally owned and operated sports book. And I say this with virtually every commercial we do. There's a reason. These are local people. They would love to have local business, and they will treat you like you're one of their neighbors. If you have a question about a game, a dispute, they're going to get back to you quickly, which is one of the big reasons that you ought to want to go with them. Download the app or visit action247.com to get all that winning started. And please bet responsibly.
How am I going to get to work?
My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685. Now that the weather has gotten considerably warmer, there's not a better place to spend a morning or an afternoon than Riverside Golf Lanes. So you've probably noticed the weather has gotten a lot warmer, and that means a couple of things in Nashville. It means baseball, and it really means golf. And for me, it's a visit to Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. There are now 27 holes, including a 9-hole executive course. If you want tee times or more information, dial them up at 615-847-5074.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between. Discover what Hit City has to offer. Single game tickets are on sale now.
Welcome back on this beautiful Tuesday in Nashville, Tennessee, from our new digs at the Ford Ice Center in Bellevue. On the surface, there are probably not a lot of people in the Nashville, Middle Tennessee, 90-mile radius who have a lot of interest in the Detroit Pistons. However, there are a couple of sort of local angles to their head coaching search that I want to get into. And so with that in mind, we say hello to James Edwards, who covers the Pistons for The Athletic. And James, thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, no problem at all. I appreciate you having me.
So this seems like prehistoric times, but gosh, 40 years ago, Dwayne Casey was a young assistant on Clem Haskins' staff. And I was a even younger broadcaster doing a television package at Western. So I followed Dwayne's career very closely. The decision to get out, number one, was it his? Was it an age thing? I've had enough, or was there more to it than that?
I certainly think part of it was his decision. He's been here in Detroit for 5 years. The team went in a rebuild. He wasn't hired to coach a rebuilding team. He got the team to the playoffs his first year. Injuries to Blake Griffin happened. Then the team, including Dwayne, decided that a rebuild would be best for this organization, something they haven't really committed to in many, many years. So with that came a lot of losing. He had 1 year left on his deal. I get the sense that they weren't going to extend him if he came back. He would have just been a lame duck, as kind of the slogan goes. So I think for him it was just time. I think the organization wanted to also just go a different way too, but the respect for Dwayne was there, and they wanted to keep him around, and they gave him the option to join the front office, which is something that I had put out there for several years, that when Dwayne was done, I thought he would slide into a front office role. And it happened. He has great relationships with the organization. Him and the owner are very close. The way it happened, we didn't expect him to come in right after the game, the final regular season game of the year in Chicago, and say it. But it wasn't, the outcome wasn't a surprise.
James, you know where I'm headed here in a minute with why we wanted to have you on. What other names are getting thrown out as possible replacements for Dwayne?
Yeah, I'd say some of the top names that I've gathered are Kevin Ollie, former UConn coach, longtime NBA journeyman; Chris Quinn, former Notre Dame point guard, assistant to Eric Spoelstra in Miami; Charles Lee, an assistant coach in Milwaukee. You got Rex Kalamian and Jerome Allen, who are assistants on Dwayne's staff. Then you also have Jerry Stackhouse, former Piston, Vanderbilt head coach, someone who is on the Pistons' list. And I'm trying to think who else. I think those ones, Adrian Griffin. I think one of these names I mentioned, assuming someone who's currently coaching a team doesn't become available, I think one of those names will be the next head coach of the Detroit Pistons.
James, you know what's going on down here. Stackhouse has vehemently denied this. He's taken shots at media people, taken shots at Commodore Nation. But I also know behind the scenes that he has talked a lot about getting into the NBA. And I'll tell you where some of that comes from. Will Perdue, who is a very good friend of mine, has been very open with me that people approach him often and say, why is Jerry Stackhouse so actively trying to get to the NBA? So let's go with this. To your knowledge, have the Pistons contacted him?
To my knowledge, they have not yet. There's a list. He is on the list. The Pistons are not in a rush right now to hire a coach. I think they're going through their first wave right now. They started interviews this week, and then there will be another wave. But to my knowledge, they have not reached out yet to Jerry Stackhouse.
So the denials that he's put out there really have not affected their desire at some point to speak to him.
From what I was told, no. I was told as soon as yesterday that he is still on their list to talk to. Yes.
Okay, let me try it this way. You cover the NBA, and you got a lot of sources in and around this kind of stuff. I wouldn't pretend to. We're not an NBA city. Have you been hearing his name a lot in NBA stuff?
To be honest, I primarily focus on the Pistons, but I have heard kind of what you said, that at some point Stack will probably get to the NBA. Just with what he did in the G League, with the success he's had at Vanderbilt. He was one of the better NBA players when he was playing. I've always been under the assumption that at some point Stackhouse will be an NBA coach. I haven't heard that specifically with other teams, but I know that immediately upon Dwayne moving up to the front office, that Stackhouse was on their initial list of to talk to. So I can't imagine they're the only team that's had interest at some point.
Yeah. What has been his relationship with the Pistons? Obviously a former player, but has there been more to it than that?
I mean, earlier this year, maybe over the summer. I'm sorry, not earlier this year. Earlier this season, over the summer, when they unveiled the teal uniforms, which Stackhouse played in, he was part of the unveiling. They had a party for season ticket holders in downtown Detroit, and Stackhouse was there. So as far as I've been covering the team for 6 years, I think that's really the only time I can remember him being part of an event. But that was less than a year ago. And also, I think he coached Saban Lee at Vanderbilt. I can't remember if there was.
Yes.
He did. Okay. So yeah, I would assume that they talked at some point then too, just trying to get an idea about Saban Lee and scouting him.
James, appreciate you taking the time. I got a question about the Pistons situation and what Jerry Stackhouse might be walking into, right? I mean, people say, yeah, he's shown interest. He would love to coach in Detroit. But what would he be walking into as opposed to his situation at Vanderbilt right now where, yes, they struggled in the transfer portal. They haven't maybe gotten the guys they like. But how would you compare what he's got at Vandy and what he might be walking into in Detroit?
Yeah, I certainly think there's more of a risk going to Detroit. I think Vanderbilt, given what he's done so far, and excuse me if I'm speaking out of turn, I'm not sure that the bar is set too high with Vanderbilt basketball. Like if he successfully has a winning record, can get him into the tournament, I think that from an outsider's view, that feels like a guy that could have a job there for a long time. In terms of coming to Detroit, I know they haven't won a playoff game in 15 years, but this is a legacy organization. There aren't many NBA franchises that have 3 titles, let alone 3 in 3 different decades. It's a young team with, you can make the case, one of the best young cores in the NBA with Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren, James Wiseman, Isaiah Stewart. They have a chance to land one of the most coveted prospects in quite some time in Victor Wembanyama, and if they don't land him, they could get Scoot Henderson or Brandon Miller. There's certainly an avenue for great success in Detroit, which if you could turn Detroit back into a winner, I think the ceiling's a little bit higher, just given how big basketball is in this city, in this state, what this organization means to the league when it's good. So I certainly think there's a higher ceiling there, but there's certainly more risk involved just because of how young the Pistons are. And obviously even at the college level, nothing is guaranteed.
James, let me end it with this. Would you consider him a strong candidate or a fallback if others say no?
From what I've gathered, I think he's somewhere in the middle. I think there are some in the organization who are really eager to talk to him and learn and figure out if he is the best candidate. I think there are some that maybe have other guys higher on their list. So I think he has an opportunity. I think they have an open mind, and he has an opportunity to sway others if he takes an interview, or if, from what I've heard, if they end up reaching out and trying to secure an interview. I definitely think he has an opportunity to sway those who have others higher on their list, but there are some in the organization that think very highly of him, and I would imagine have them near the top of their list.
Hey, really appreciate your taking the time to come on and be with us. Thank you for the visit. If you see Dwayne, tell him I said hello.
Will do. I appreciate you guys having me on.
James Edwards from The Athletic up in Detroit, joining us to talk about the Pistons situation. Billy, here would be the one thing that I think is going to come up. First of all, I don't think there's any doubt that Jerry Stackhouse can coach. I think we've all felt that from day one. I'm not sure I'm wild about the prickly side of him or the calling out Commodore Nation or some of the things that I think are important when you're a college coach. But here's one thing to factor in here. Okay, he's been here 4 years, and this team this year got a lot of people's attention and really captured
some older fans that went back. And I mean, but all of a sudden, 6 players leave, and you haven't picked up anybody other than a freshman recruit. So they're in another weird spot where you've got to prove it again, right? So that's why I wanted to ask, compare,
Sure.
right? Is he walking into a better situation in Detroit?
Well, because what is going to happen here at some point is if he does not get next year's team to the NCAA tournament, he will be 0 for 5.
Yep.
And at some point, that will start to put a pressure on him and his situation that he has not yet really had to deal with.
Yeah, and I think that's a good barometer. Look at Kermit Davis. You know, your boy. That 5 years. That's with no tournament berth. You're in the SEC, right? This is some teams you're lucky to get 5 and not make the tournament. So I think next year's the year, and it's not looking great, at least right now. You know where they are in the transfer portal. So it'll be interesting. George, again, he doesn't seem to be high on their list according to James. But if he gets offered the job, he's going.
I would assume that. Listen, I don't blame him for trying to deflect the talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
But it sure does sound like at some point somebody is going to pick up a phone from there and say, would you like to talk about it? And then we'll find out whether what he put out there a week ago was the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Or is there sort of some middle ground of, well, why shouldn't I talk to him?
That tweet would be an interesting tweet looking back if he decides to actually leave.
And I think what he could have said was something to the effect of, look, I haven't been contacted by them. Now, everybody can make this up. It's an easy rumor to make up because I played there. But at this moment, no one from there has contacted me.
Well, and it's almost the way he reacted. It's almost like he has been in contact with them, that he's so against, fans and media. Say it's almost like it's so obvious that he has been in contact with them.
Okay. After the break, we'll bring Kelly back up. We'll allow him to mock picks of the day because they are coming up. The Plaster pick of the day, the bet of the day is coming up next. So stay with us.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd, the goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Experience Predators hockey all season long. Visit NashvillePredators.com/season tickets and join the Loyal Legion today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets, and we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to AlacoFineWoodFloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? How?
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication, and we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700, send us a message at celestemiddleton.com, or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
To say we're excited about our new digs at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue is a huge understatement. Special thanks to Sean Henry, Danny Butler, Joel Butcher, Dan Williams. Man, they have made our life beautiful. One of the things we're going to try to do is take advantage of this beautiful facility. The first thing we're going to do is create a Wilson Bank and Trust Summer Sports Speaker Series. Try saying that 3 times in a hurry. The first of those will be Thursday, April the 20th at 11:30 in the morning. It'll run until about 12:45, and the new Predators General Manager Barry Trotz will be our guest. Stay tuned for more information and for more announcements. We are thrilled to be at the Fordyce Center, and thanks to all of you for watching our show.
It's time for Plaster's Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. They are lawyers you can trust. Give them a call at 615-242-9000 or log on to bartdurham.com. All right, let's check out what happened last night, George. Dallas loss, Golden State loss, but Carolina got it done.
1 out of 3, not good enough.
Not too bad, though. Still a game above 500, though, Kelly.
George, didn't you call the Carolina game at 2-1 yesterday?
No, that was the Dallas, right?
Oh, was that the Dallas game? I thought it was the Carolina game. I was thinking, I'm like, he hit that right on the head.
I remember it. He said Dallas 2-1.
Well, let me say this: even on the telecast last night, there was mention made of Carolina New York Islanders is a 2-1, 1-0 series, and Sean McDonough made the comment that all 7 games will end up 1-0.
Sean McDonough, by the way, is phenomenal calling hockey on ESPN. I saw some numbers on their ratings for hockey on ESPN. It's great. I need to look them up for tomorrow.
So seriously growing.
Yeah, like huge number. I mean, I think one of last night's games was the most watched hockey game on TV.
Well, getting on ESPN was something that league desperately needed.
Yeah, 12.4 million. Most people to ever watch an NHL game on TV in the U.S.
The Boston game?
Let's see. That was the Minnesota-Dallas game.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, Kelly, we need to pick up the pace a little.
I mean, you're doing okay. You're hanging in there. I know how hard it is because I do these, we've all done this. You started me on the silly underdog picks a long time ago. This stuff's not easy. Although I'm not for you, I do watch your games now, which is kind of crazy. It's really ignorant for me to do that. But
thank you for the backhanded support. Let's go with the NBA game. As long as Julius Randle is healthy, and he sure looked healthy Saturday night, the Knicks are every bit as good as Cleveland. These are 2 good young teams with stars. You got Darius Garland from the Nashville area with Cleveland. You've got the from
Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell, real star. Jalen Brunson on the New York side. Julius Randle, who played at Kentucky. The Knicks are every bit as good as Cleveland. They may not win tonight, but they'll cover the 5.5.
Popular pick. I've seen that a few other places. Yeah.
Hey, here's a question for y'all. How did the Dallas Mavericks let the Brunson kid go?
Oh, that was a big screw up.
Well, they wanted Kyrie.
Yeah, great.
Well, Kyrie's been messing up teams here lately, man. I mean, it's
Mark Cuban, he got
well too.
If you hang around dogs long enough, you will get fleas.
And they got them.
Yeah. Okay, the other one, Kelly, I just want you to know I feel very strongly about this one.
Okay.
Vegas at home, period. Why this line is not more like 200, 2-1, I'm surprised. I don't think Winnipeg's that good. Vegas, big. You got that?
I got it. I couldn't tell. In Vegas, are they the best team in the league?
No.
No, it's the Bruins, right? It's
The Bruins.
Yeah.
Now, Vegas is very good.
Yeah.
They would be somewhere between 2 and 6,
Yeah.
depending on who you talk to.
Gotcha.
Boy, the Bruins will be all for naught if they don't win the cup.
Oh, there's a lot of pressure on them.
That's what I was about to say. There's a lot of pressure, man. When teams go into playoffs like that and they're expected to do all this, just like the Tennessee Vols baseball team last year had all these accolades, and they didn't even make the College World Series. So it's just so much pressure that fans and the media put on you. It's crazy.
Couple of things to end the show. Let's put the graphic up there. If you have not signed up to hear the Barry Trotz speaker series deal on Thursday here, you need to move quick. And you can move quick. It's a free event by emailing me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. Again, plastergeorge@gmail.com. Let me know how many are going to be in your party. We've still got a tad bit of room, but we will have well over 100 people involved in this who are coming out here, and we're very excited about how this looks like it's going to turn out. Tomorrow on the show, Tony Basilio will join us from Knoxville. That's always good and always spicy. And Kelly, also tomorrow, we will have another edition of Your World of Football.
I'll be up till midnight right now trying to figure stuff out on this down time right now before the draft. Thanks, George.
It doesn't have to be that hard.
Another round of, is it Bryce Young or CJ Stroud?
No, we got down and dirty. I'll tell you one I want to get into tomorrow. Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Why do you not hear more about DTR?
Well, once again, it comes, and I'll say it again tomorrow, but it comes about his size. I mean, that's, he's just not the elite guy where he's 6'4", 240 that, that can run through a wall and can throw it through a wall. He's just not that guy.
2 words, Drew Brees.
Exactly.
See you tomorrow, Kelly.
You got a bunch of guys like that.
Bingo. See you tomorrow.
Yep.
We're out of here. Thanks for being with us. See ya.